Hello YouTube and welcome back, it's me Fruit Guru. I hope you're all enjoying the anniversary still. I hope your pulls have been lucky and hopefully your units are, if not done, pretty getting close. I finished off my unit today, so that was good, but I'm not really here to talk about the anniversary or not even the upcoming FF7 collab, which, ooh, happy days, eh? I think we're all waiting for that, so that's going to be awesome. But we'll talk about that another time. Today I'm here to talk about one of my favourite units in the game, and that is Fryevia. And I know probably some of you are like, oh god, no, not this again, because I always talk about Fryevia and I always use her in my comps. She's a really niche unit who does what she does really, really well. Or does what she does well really well, but doesn't really do... She's not an all-rounder, right? And we're going to learn about a little bit this in a little bit more detail. But if I had to compare her to any other unit in the game, I'd compare her to Sasayaki or Whisper, because basically she requires a lot of investment to kind of get her to the stage where she does what she does really, really well. And it's kind of tricky. I think in some ways, actually, she's probably a little bit trickier than Sasayaki to get going. Maybe a little bit higher investment needed. But once you do get her there, she is really, really, really good. And I'm hoping that I can kind of convince you all that she's not trashed here like a lot of people feel like she is. She got a really bad rep when she launched, partially because she didn't get a unique job for global exclusive, also because her AI didn't use full life originally, which was a big, big deal breaker for many, many people. But all in all, I love this unit. I use her all the time, as I said, and I'm hoping that I can share with you guys my findings, my opinions on her, and how to get the most out of her, particularly as a white mage. I'm not going to talk too much about green mage, if at all, because that's really, really niche, and I think you could probably have better options to fill that role. I'm also not going to talk about her as a Spellblade sub, because, I mean, yeah, she's great for that. But there's other tanks out there who do just as good a job, if not better sometimes, like Rain. So, you know, she's alright there, but I think White Mage, if you get it down, that's where she is an absolute beast. So, I'm going to start talking about the pros now. The first one, Ultimate Magic Attack Sponge, who isn't bothered by SPR down. So this actually, in some matchups, gives her quite a big edge over other magic tanks like Rain, or even like a magic kind of resistant built Warrior of Light, in that units like Sakura or whatnot, who are getting more and more common in the game, who can bring down defenses or magic defenses, don't really affect her. And you'll see now, if I turn this off and I bring up my Fryevia's stats here, so this is her battle stats, you will see that she only actually has 14 spirit, which is laughable. I mean, my Yuna has far more spirit than that now, but it doesn't bother us because we actually get up to currently a total of 92 magic attack resistance, which is whopper. You can actually get this a little bit higher, but it requires a bit more sacrifice, so I found 92% is a reasonable number. Any higher than that, you're not really gonna need it, to be honest with you, or at least that's what I felt. So bring up the pros again here on the second point. Pairs well with other casters, but deals slashing damage, adding attack diversity. So this is actually quite important, because every now and again you get a matchup where, you know, maybe the team is super magic resistant or magic attack resistant, and having a secondary source of damage is a nice thing. And you're going to mostly want to pair Fryevia with other casters who have innate magic resist, so you can kind of bolster it as a whole. And it works quite well together. So that's a nice little pro, I think, anyway. Then obviously this is the big one, has access to full life and will almost always use it due to her not dying early in the right matchups. So how many times, you know, have you brought in your White Mage, Little Leela, Halloween Little Leela, or your Ayaka, and they just die really early before you actually get any mileage out of them, and you don't get to proc that full life? It's so depressing. You do not have this problem on Fryevia. Okay, you take Fryevia into Dark Matter Runestern, yeah, you're going to have that problem, but we're approaching this that we're actually using her for an intended purpose, and that's what this guide is going to be based around. This guide is going to be based around finding magic units, and not just magic attack units, but even the Garvels, the Howlets, Spellblades to some degree when you see them. And basically, you always get that value of full life. So if something gets clipped, it's not that big a deal, because she's going to pick them right back up. And this is really, really nice with Yuna right now. And one of the reasons why I also use her as White Mage is that tanks right now aren't always super reliable because you have the hate generation and you'll take the single attacks, but there is so much splash damage and there's only so much AI manipulation you can get away with in the game. But your units are more often than not going to kind of group up a little bit and someone's going to get clipped. So in these matchups, you know, we do build a lot of magic resist on the team, but it's not that big a deal because if someone gets clipped and does die, we're going to take them right back up. And short range attacks. Now, I know a lot of people actually count this as a con, and at a glance it does seem like that, but from what I've learned, it actually works pretty well for Fryevia, and the reason why is you want her to get like right up in their face. You want her to run away from your other units, and you kind of want the other units around to like tunnel vision on her. And if they do use AoE on her, it's not going to clip the back line. And you'll see, I'll show a video near the end of this where you'll see her kind of run ahead, even though she's not a tank and she doesn't have any hate generation. She soaks up an awful lot of damage, and that's a little bit of AI manipulation, but it works quite well. I have a lot of matches where like the enemy will just absolutely bombard her at the start while my other units are at the back buffing, and by the time my other units get there, I mean, they're running out of steam. They've kind of used their limit bursts, they've used a lot of their like SPR down stuff, and it goes to waste on her because it all kind of tickles her. So moving on from that, we'll talk about the cons, and there are a lot of cons. It's hard to summarize them into one little thing, but here we go anyway. So damage isn't too impressive and easily mitigated with no pierce. So this is probably one of the bigger ones in regards to her offensive ability. Her base damage is low enough as it is compared to newer units. And slash damage it's probably one of the most mitigated damage types that there is in the game with like different setups. You'll probably see more and more magic attack resistance now with Yuna and stuff in the game, and Sakura's all running rampant. But slash is pretty high up there anyway, and I think it always will be. So you're always going to run into something that's kind of innately resistant to slash, or you know, they have like ways of kind of getting slash resistance, and it's a bit of a pain. But you got to remember that we're not looking at Fryevia to be going in and one-shotting everything. Her job is to get up in their faces, you know, chip away. She opens the gates for other units to kill them. You know, she takes off a quarter of their health or half their health depending on what she's fighting. It allows our little Leelas to go in and mop up our Yunas to one shot, and that's basically her job. Her job isn't to be the one-hit kill hero. It's to be a pain in the ass, and she does that really, really well. So low movement. This is another big one. If Fryevia had an extra kind of movement point or an additional one, it would make a hell of a difference, but sadly she doesn't. She gets a move of 3 and a jump of 1, and depending on the map that can actually be kind of really detrimental, but again, you got to find ways around it. Unfortunately, as I'll get to in another point down here, you can't really use like a TMR to give her additional move because she needs Isabels to really pop off, and I'll explain that more in a second. But next point anyway, she's really, really niche. So I kind of covered this before, but she doesn't fit well into any comp. She's not like a Yuna where you can kind of put her into any comp and she'll do really well, or a Halloween little Leela. She needs to be built around, and she needs to kind of know what she's fighting before she goes in. So traditionally I would never bring her into Guild Wars, because if I couldn't find like a very magic dominated team, I'd kind of be giving away basically I wouldn't be getting my 6 stars. Nowadays, with the Yunas and the Sakuras and even the Garvels, I actually do use her in Guild Wars, and I do quite well with her. Our guild just got into champion there, so that's kind of where we're at. Not the highest of the high, but we're at the level where like everyone's kind of got good kit generally, and she's been doing really, really well, to be fair. So yeah, very, very niche. You can't just slot her into anything. You have to know what you're doing with her. So half her kit needs to be disabled, as it makes her a liability, and this is so true. And I've really learnt this the hard way over, well, since she was released. So White Mage, Fryevia, I can't run her with her heals turned on, and I know this sounds so counterproductive running a White Mage, but it's the truth. Her cast time is too slow. She will run back from the front line to try and heal. Often, because of the units you tend to pair her with, they'll actually take their turn, and they'll, especially if they're a calculator or something, they'll heal instantly. And she just basically bunches up with the other units, makes everyone vulnerable to AOE, and yeah, she doesn't get any value out of her heal. So I have turned all these off. I also have to turn Protect off. I have to turn Shell off because these delay her from getting to the front line. They also, I mean, I had a match battle earlier where I thought it would be a great idea to turn Protect on to give myself a little bit more physical reduction in matchups, and it was a disaster. I mean, like, she was casting that, she was prioritizing it over full life. She basically did nothing for the game except for cast that one Protect spell. So you have to basically disable all that, and what you end up doing is you essentially have her just be a frontline rusher. She whittles everybody down, she plays distraction, and that's, if she needs to full life, she will always run back. She's very, very good at full lifing when all those other skills are turned off. She'll use it without fail. It'll be her #1 priority. And the nice thing about it is that because she's so tanky to the units that you're going to be going up against, the full life isn't going to cost her life. Like, generally, a lot of you, if you have an Ayaka who's full lifing, she might go down before the full life casts. You don't really get that problem as much with Fryevia due to what you're taking her up against. So it requires big investment in terms of Zizek battles, gear, Esper, and VC. Yeah, this one's horrible. So kind of like Sasayaki, you need an awful lot of stuff to get her to a functional level, and I'll show those on the next slide, what I think is the best through my experience when you're running her like this. But yeah, it's pretty insane. You can't just pull this unit and hope to use her, as I said before. You need to basically build her in a very specific way, and I'll kind of show you this now. So here we go. So gear, Lazalia Royal Guard, you need this. And the reason why you need this is for the massive chunk of accuracy. And I used to like to use Ice Brand, but let me tell you, I have been in a situation where it has come down to a guild war where my Fryevia was 1v1 against Little Leela, and there is no way that I should lose that matchup 1v1. I actually ran the Little Leela down into auto-attacking, and it was horrible. She just evaded everything with the Ice Brand because Fryevia doesn't have a huge amount of accuracy and Little Leela has good base evasion, and she just bounced around. I actually lost the battle due to auto attacks being hit on me, which was really, really nasty. And I was a little bit unlucky. If I actually had managed to hit the Little Leela, I would have probably popped her in one shot, but I didn't. And it's not the first time that has actually happened either. I do remember it on other occasions, but that actually happened fairly recently to me, and it just kind of stuck in my head. So I had to build her with the Lazalia Royal Guard, which is, of course, is a limited time weapon. So if you don't have that and you want to use her, you're going to have to keep an eye out for that to resurface and get it. Then the next is the Armor of Light. She can't use coats, so Smart Coat is off the table, and you do need to kind of cap the magic attack resistance to make her viable, get it as close to cap as you can anyway. And Armor of Light is just the best thing I had at the time. Now, there could be a couple of other things coming down the line that might be a better alternative to this, but right now this is just such a sweet piece of kit for her. It gives her a little bit of defense as well. So all round, this is what you want, but you just can't pick this up whenever you want, so kind of shit. But yeah, keep an eye out for this when Warrior of Light comes back down the line. I think you'll be able to get this again. Then finally, Zizabel. So I talked about this before. You need to have these on her, or she will stand still and she will buff herself, and she'll basically just she won't run distraction as well. Also, without her skills, she's pretty useless. Her auto attacks do no damage whatsoever, and the biggest problem is she has this limit burst, which allows her to basically do a good bit of AoE damage, reduce the AP cost of her skills for 3 turns, but the reality is you're not going to have 3 turns of AP to actually benefit from that if you use the limit burst. So without the bells, you can't use the limit burst. Without the limit burst, you lose a bit of range, and you lose a pretty nice alternative source of damage. And this basically just keeps energizing her to go further and further. So without these, again, I don't recommend particularly going in to the Fryevia game. So straight away, I mean, you need one other unit at maxed out from the start, and you need 2 pieces of limited time gear. So that's pretty nasty, to be honest with you. Then you're going to get to the Espers and VC, which use double Fenrir. You could now use not Diabolus, what's it called? Bahamut. But it would just be such a waste, because if you pulled Bahamut, you probably pulled Yuna, who's an infinitely better unit to use it on. So yeah, Fenrir is your best bet here. It gives the nice 15% magic attack resistance, which stacks really nicely with the rest of her kit. And then the VC, again, this VC is a blessing and a curse, because in some ways, I mean, can I bring it up here? Yeah, so let me turn this off for a second. So you get a nice chunk of HP, which is great, right? You get the dex, which is alright. The agility is actually pretty good, to be fair, especially on Fryevia. She's not the fastest, but there's no magic on it. So again, you're kind of gimping your damage. You're not going to get the ice unit attack up, really. Ice unit attack, see, I think that's physical only. Now, I could be wrong. And if I'm pretty sure that's ice unit attack up anyway. But you're not really going to be running her with other ice units for the moment. The max HP up, of course, is really, really nice. But the main thing is it's for the magic attack resistance up 20, and that's party-wide. And this pairs really, really well with her buddies and herself. So all in all, I mean, this is a great card to have. I kind of hope they come out with a magic version of it, and if that comes out, I'll be all in on that day one. It would make a hell of a difference, and it would probably allow her to churn out a lot more damage. But yeah, I mean, you have to make sacrifices to get her to work. I mean, this is what I mean. She's not easy to just like kind of get working out of the box. You have to kind of think about what you want to do, and it's a little rough. So that's basically everywhere. That's why she's still crying in this picture, because it's a nasty setup cost to actually get her. So next we'll talk about unit synergy. Yeah, okay. So again, you need more stuff to get her to work, and the biggest problem you're going to have with her is because she's only magic attack resistant. You get your Garvels, your Howlets to a lesser degree, even your kind of Spellblade Eldiras that pop up or whatever. Garvels with the missile magic damage. She is not inherently resistant to these, so you need a Sheller basically to kind of buffer at the start of the battle. So previously Little Leela was kind of my best on slot for this because she does damage. Little Leela is really, really good because she has the full life to pick her back up if needed. She also has the shell, obviously, which decreases just basically damage that is magical. Not necessarily magic attacks, but damage that is magical by 25%. And that's the difference between dying or living. So that's really, really good. You also have to remember that because Fryevia doesn't hit that hard, you need someone to clean up the enemies, because there's no point in just resisting everything if you can't kill them. So yeah, Little Leela's a great choice for that. Yuna now is really fantastic, especially with her TMR when she uses it, because you get the protect, so if you do have a bruiser in the enemy comp, that really helps there. And the shell again. Ayaka, really, really good, has heals, can full life her back if she does go down, and also has access to shell. There's obviously MR units and lower that you could use as well, but these are just some of the kind of big hitters. But again, I mean, look at these, like 2 of them out of the 3 that go with her, they're limited time units. So again, like if you're not playing from day one and you're not regularly playing, you may not have access to these, so pain in the ass again. Also a note here that Spellblades do not work because the magic resist buff that they give is specifically for magic attack, so that's not going to help you against a Garvel or anything like that. So it has to be shell or a TMR that grants shell. Basically, I think Rain's TMR possibly might be a solution to that as well if you can have it on someone, but yeah, it's not the easiest thing to get going. So with that said and done, I'm going to show you a video of her in battle, and this will take a second to load, but yeah. You're going to see in this comp they have 2 magic attackers, and they have a Garvel who is missile damage technically, and it's very, very meta. They have the Sakura, they have the Yuna, and you're going to see basically the Sakura and the Yuna not so much a threat, but this is why you need the shell basically to deal with the Garvel. So straight away we obviously have that coming off Little Leela, and you can see his jamming thrust doesn't really do much to us at all. because that is a magic attack and that's what he had range for, so that was fine. Same with the Sakura, her 3 chain did pretty little to us. And we'll do a lot of damage here with our Yuna, just kind of showing her off a little bit as well while we're in here. But straight away you'll see the chi shot is where the damage starts really happening, and that would have actually killed us if it wasn't for Shell. So it was nice to have that there. And sorry. You'll see her damage isn't great, but it is opening up the path for somebody else to get the kill in. So unfortunately, Magic Evasion of Garble, very annoying, and Fryevia goes down because she just can't build that. But we have units with her to keep healing her back up. So really, it's kind of a 1v, well, it was a 1v or 2v1, I guess. So with Garble down, a lot of the pressure's taken off. I think he does actually get picked back up, unless we put the Yuna on the defensive. I'm not 100% sure. It looks like he's coming back up though. And you'll see as well, their Yuna loves to Aeon Bond. Mine has just stopped doing this for some reason, since I got her to max bravery. I don't know what's going on, but we'll pick up the little Leela, and you'll see the synergy between our units here. Even when someone goes down, it's not that big a deal because we keep picking up. The stun was really unlucky there, by the way. So Garble didn't manage to get picked back up, which is great. But you'll see my Fryevia is there, easily picking up the little Leela. There's no threat of her going down at this point. And while the Yuna's doing Yuna things on their team, we're not really that worried. So they keep healing, and we actually, this battle in particular, we won because they couldn't kill us. We couldn't kill them because we were on the defensive so much, but it wasn't that big a deal. So basically that's what you want to run Fryevia as. I'm gonna just see if I can dig out another video now to show like a kind of cleaner battle with her, so bear with me. Okay, so for this next one here, I've got a kind of ideal matchup. This is with 3 magic attackers, so really if I ever see a team like this, I go all in with this comp. For the record, I do have a few different comps because obviously you're not always going to get ideal matchups, but this is where Fryevia really shines. And one thing I'll actually say is it's a good argument on this map to turn her limit burst off. Not that it matters because this is the last day of it as far as I know, but it'll just get her out that little bit further, and you'll see all the stuff that she soaks up here. So she gets the shell, and she's also going to cast her own magic barrier on her because she's not in range to attack, and this is actually a good thing. So as you'll see straight away, my 2 carry units are kind of hanging back a little bit, and that's what we want in a situation like this. And we want Fryevia to just rush right forward because she can't generate the hate on this. But see that Sakura attack did nothing to us, and we burst Sakura down. We don't actually need tons and tons of damage in order to get results, you know. So she does get healed back up, and that's fine. It's not going to phase us, and we'll bop her again. So we do have magic resist across the board, which makes my Yuna a little bit tankier as well, which is nice. And yeah, our units start to move up, but Fryevia is still out in the front. The Holy is not going to do too much to us, and Yuna will not use her response passive since I got her bravery up. I don't know why. She just refuses to use it. But we'll try and sort that another day. And straight away you can see that they're rushing into kind of full life, but it's not going to be enough. And the problem is with them relying on their little Leela to full life, she's too susceptible to taking damage, so it didn't work out. Whereas I had it in the bank, so full health. You know, you get pretty much max points, and that's nice. So that's basically the ideal kind of way that you want to use her in. So I hope you enjoyed this little Fryevia guide. As always, I'm open to criticisms, I'm open to alternative ways of playing her, but I have found that for such a niche character, this is where she works best. So I hope you take some away. I hope some of you Fryevia haters realise that she does have a bit of value right now. And yeah, I guess that's all there is to say about it. So thank you very much for watching as always. I wish you luck in your game, and take care until next time. Take care. Bye.